It started with a message. Just a casual, "Hey, isn't this you?" from an old classmate she hadn't spoken to in years. Mira was on the train, earbuds in, half listening to music when her phone buzzed. She clicked the link without thinking, half expecting an old yearbook photo or some awkward meme, but what opened was a video. A girl, no older than 22, sat in a wheelchair in front of a garden. Her dark hair was pulled into a braid over one shoulder. She had soft, dark eyes, pale skin, a familiar little scar on her left brow from where she'd fallen off a bike at 6. Mira's breath caught in her throat, because the girl on the screen was her. Exactly her. Not someone who looked like her, not a distant resemblance. Her. The same freckle under the jaw, the same laugh lines, the exact same voice, although slowed and softened, as if trained to sound frail. She was smiling, wide, sweet, and gentle as the caption scrolled across the bottom. "Help Lily walk again. Born with degenerative muscle disease, Lily has never taken a step, but with your help she could. Every dollar counts." When 168,472 raised, Mira felt her stomach lurch. She paused the video and stared at the still frame. That was her shirt, one she remembered buying last summer. How? Who? She scrolled further. There were dozens of videos, all posted by an account called Love for Lily. Some showed her, Lily, struggling to lift a spoon. Others showed her being wheeled into hospitals, flanked by a woman holding her hand. Her mother. Her mother. Mira's heart froze. It was her mother, older, but unmistakable. She was crying in one video, talking to the camera. "We've done everything we can. But time is running out for our baby. Every donation gives her a better chance." What the hell was this? Was this some sick prank? A deepfake? AI? A scam? But as she stared, a memory bubbled up, thick and unwanted, that day last year when her mom had insisted Mira try on a dress and walk across the room for a project she was working on. That awkward conversation. That odd camera angle. That moment when she asked, "Can you move a little slower, like you're in pain?" Mira had laughed it off at the time. What is this for? A play? Her mother had waved the question away. Just helping someone at church. You'll understand when you're older. She had asked no more questions. But now, pieces started snapping together like cracked glass finding its edges. That night Mira sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, the glow of her laptop reflecting back at her as she scrolled through the page. It had been running for 3 years. The first post was dated in 2022. She stared at the photo of herself, Lily, age 16, sitting in a hospital bed, hooked to an IV. She'd never been in that bed. She'd never had that IV. She wasn't disabled. Never had been. The captions told a different story. Born premature. Diagnosed with type thalassemia. Doctors told us she wouldn't live past 5. But she's a fighter. She dreams of walking on her own. 168,000 donated by thousands of strangers who believed the lie. Her face, her story, used for pity money. By midnight, her fingers were trembling as she picked up the phone. She called her mother. "Hey, Mira!" Her mom answered, chipper as always. "What's up?" Mira's voice was sharp. "What the hell is Love for Lily?" Silence. Then a nervous laugh. "I don't know what you mean. Don't do that. I saw it. The videos. The page. You're in them. Mira. Are you okay?" That question, it dropped ice into her spine. "I'm serious," she snapped. "You used my face, my body, for years. I never said you could. What did you do?" "Mira," her mother said gently, too gently. "Ani, you're not making sense again." Again. There it was. The deflection, the weaponization of concern. Mira felt herself beginning to unravel, like a rug being pulled out from under her own memories. "No," she said. "Don't gaslight me. I saw you in the video. You said she was your daughter. I am your daughter." There was a pause. Then her mother said, with a sigh, "Mira, we've talked about this. You do have a sister." Amira nearly dropped the phone. "What? Her name is Lily. She's your twin. She's sick. You just blocked it out, sweetie. It was traumatic. That's why we've kept you on medication all these years. To help with the confusion?" No, I don't have a twin. I never have. What are you talking about?" "Baby." Her voice was soft now. "I know this is hard, but you've always struggled with reality. You've had these as delusions before. Do you remember last summer? The therapist said you were making things up. You don't remember that either, do you?" Mira felt the room spin. She was being erased, her own truth rewritten in real time. Her voice silenced, by her own family. The next day, she confronted her father. He wouldn't meet her eyes. You've been under a lot of stress. He mumbled. Maybe lay off the internet for a while. She screamed at him, demanded to know where the money went. You're not well, Mira, he said. You need help. Her little brother wouldn't even look at her. Her aunt left her messages filled with concern. Sweetheart, just let it go. It's all in your head. Everyone was in on it. Or pretending they weren't. She was being gaslit by an entire family, by people who were supposed to protect her. By the end of the week, Mira was sleeping with her door locked and a kitchen knife under her pillow. She stopped eating dinner with them. Her world shrank into her bedroom and the cold glare of a laptop screen. She documented everything: screenshots, videos, emails, backups on backups. Her mother tried to delete the evidence, so Mira set up auto sync to a cloud server she named Phoenix 1. Every time they called her unstable, she recorded it. Every time they fed her pills she didn't need, she slipped them into a bag to test later. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't confused. She was betrayed, and she was going to make them pay. Not by screaming, not by begging, but by doing what they never expected her to do the next morning. Mira didn't cry. She didn't yell, didn't shake. She stared at her reflection in the mirror for nearly an hour. Just stared. They'd stolen her face, turned it into a mask, told the world that someone else wore it. Then, they'd told her that she was crazy for noticing. Gaslighted her into thinking her own memories were lies, but not anymore. The tremble in her fingers was gone. She had made a decision. She would stop asking for the truth. She would take it. Myra started with the photo albums. It was subtle at first. Slight differences in the handwriting on captions. Some dates looked wrong. Her first birthday photos were labeled Lily's first. One album even had a post. It that read, Mira sighed. Dio not my ex. She flipped through each page slowly, her fingers brushing the edges like they were radioactive. Then she noticed something that made her blood freeze. In a birthday album from when she was 7, there was a picture of her in a hospital gown. A nurse stood in the background holding balloons. She didn't remember the visit, didn't remember being sick. More importantly, she didn't have that scar back then. She checked the mirror again. The scar above her eyebrow, small, but distinct, had come when she was 9. Bike crash, concrete, 11 stitches. But in the photo, taken 2 years before that, the scar was already there. It wasn't real. It was makeup. The hospital visit had been staged. Her breath caught in her throat. Her hands began flipping pages more urgently. She looked at lighting angles, backgrounds, props. Some photos were clearly taken at the same time, same lighting, same shirt, but labeled as different years. They'd reused her, used her body as a blank canvas to paint a lie. Carefully controlled snapshots. A patchwork life manufactured and labeled as someone else's. She broke into her mother's office on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. The key was taped under a loose drawer. Classic. The room smelled like lavender oil and printer ink. Mira had never been allowed in here unsupervised. She always assumed it was full of tax documents and home insurance policies. But in the bottom cabinet, behind fake folders labeled vacation planning and church budget, was a locked black box. She didn't have the key, so she used a screwdriver and brute panic. Inside were 3 USB drives, 2 wigs, and a bundle of manila folders wrapped in elastic. She opened the folders one by one, heart thudding like a war drum. Doctors' letters from clinics she had never been to, prescriptions for medications she had never taken, a list of symptoms, and daily pain struggles, written in her mother's handwriting. Under the header, Lily talking points for video shoots. Scripts, pages of them, labeled by year and scene. One read, Scene 5, Summer 2023. Mira wears blue dress, sits near flower bed. Pretend arm is weak. Line, one day I'll walk to the ocean. Emotion, hopeful, but tired. There were shot lists, angles, lighting notes. This wasn't a lie. It was a production. She found one folder labeled Backer Updates. Inside were thank you messages supposedly written by Lely to donors, each one signed in loopy handwriting Mira didn't recognize as her own. But it was close. Fake enough to fool strangers, real enough to fool anyone not looking closely. She plugged the USB drives into her laptop. Each one was filled with raw footage, unedited videos of her, drugged or exhausted, mumbling lines in their backyard. Some clips were retakes. Her mother's voice could be heard off camera, saying, "No honey, slower, make it look like your hands hurt." Others showed her being guided into hospital lobbies, only to leave 10 minutes later with no appointment. In one video, her father whispered, "You're doing great, kiddo. We'll get that van soon." It hit her like a slap. They didn't just want sympathy. They wanted money for trips, a new car, a renovated kitchen, all funded by strangers who thought they were helping a sick girl take her first steps. And the worst part, they used her, not just her image, but her mind, twisted and broken until she didn't know what was real. The medications, the therapy, the lost years. She had always felt off, foggy, like her memories had holes punched in them. Now she knew why. They'd made her take pills she didn't need. They'd told her she was fragile, broken, unstable. They didn't want her to ask questions. They just wanted her to perform. Mira sat in the dark that night, watching every video one by one. She cataloged each clip, created a private Google Drive, backed up everything. She used a VPN, created anonymous email addresses, started drafting a timeline. She listed every instance of fraud, every piece of evidence, every stolen dollar. The money trail led to a GoFundMe account under the name Carol Spencer, her aunt. The bank details were tied to a shell charity her mother had formed with the state years ago. Steps of Grace. Every donation had passed through it. No audits, no taxes, no oversight. It had all been carefully, maliciously designed. Mira didn't sleep. She no longer felt safe in the house, but she stayed. If she left too soon, they'd suspect. If she confronted them too loudly, they'd call it another hopisode. Let them think she was broken. Let them believe their own gaslighting. It gave her cover. The next week, she went to the library and printed everything she'd found. She stored the files in a waterproof folder and mailed it to a P.O. box she opened under a fake name. She wasn't ready to expose them. Not yet. Not until she had one more thing. Proof she could never fake. One evening, while her mother cooked dinner, Mira quietly pulled the family camcorder from the hall closet. Inside the case was an old mini DV tape, labeled Christmas, Mira and Lily. Age 5, she took it to her room, popped it into the adapter, and watched. The screen came alive. It was snowing. A little girl in a pink sweater opened a gift. Laughing, her mother off-screen said, "What do you say, Lily?" The girl smiled and said, "Thank you." Mira's heart pounded. The voice was hers. But the girl on screen was wearing a wig. Her own childhood Christmas had been reskinned. There had never been another child. They had filmed her, changed her name in editing, and passed her off as someone else. Every photo, every video, every memory was a stage. A con. That night, Mira stood outside her parents' room, listening. Her mother said, "We need to push the next funding goal. The clinic in Sweden has a good story angle." Her father grunted. "Use the ocean footage. That got us the last big bump. She's been snooping again. We might need to up her dose. Just keep her off the internet. She's always been suggestible." Mira stepped back, breath shallow. They were still planning, still using her, still lying. It began with a name, not hers, not Lily's, but Ellie Rise, a ghost identity Mira created over the course of 3 sleepless nights. Ellie was perfect. She had a LinkedIn, an email, a story. She was a close friend of Lily, the disabled girl on the donation page. Ellie had grown up with Lily, gone to school with her, until she moved away. Now, years later, she'd stumbled across the GoFundMe again and started to notice something off. Ellie's tone online was never angry, never accusing, just confused, concerned, curious. "I used to know Lily, but I'm confused. This girl looks so much like Mira Spencer, her twin sister who was totally healthy. I remember Lily being more outgoing, and didn't she used to walk in elementary school? I don't want to stir drama, but I can't stop thinking about how weird some of the videos seem. If anyone else remembers the Spencers, please reach out. I don't know who else to ask." Ellie didn't demand justice. She invited doubt, and doubt spreads fast. In the real world, Mira was quieter than ever. She started taking her meds again, but not swallowing them. She hid them under her tongue, then spat them into a jar in her closet. Every night, she added to her growing collection of pills she didn't need. Her parents smiled more often now. They believed they had her back under control. She was just the fragile daughter, again curled up in bed, silent and cloudy-eyed. They didn't know she was recording everything, each dinner conversation, each manipulation, every time they corrected her version of reality. It all went into a second USB drive labeled Twartitamar Ordfiniel. Meanwhile, Ellie was gaining traction. A small Reddit post in a local community page, a whisper in a Facebook group for medical fraud awareness, a message to a niche investigative journalist with a reputation for unraveling donation scams. Hi, I think something bad is happening. I have files, videos, screenshots. It's not just fraud, it's identity theft. They stole someone's face. A girl named Mira. Please look into this before it disappears. The journalist's name was Caden Holloway. Sharp. Cynical. A shark in a newsroom full of guppies. They responded within 48 hours. Prove it. So Mira did. She sent a compressed drive under Ellie's alias. 2 hours later, this is explosive. Who the hell are you? She didn't answer. Let the story speak. Mira bought a burner phone. Paid in cash. Left no trace. She started making voice memos and sending them to Caden. One at a time. Carefully edited. One clip showed her mother coaching a video. Don't use your real voice. Make it softer, sad, but not too sad. We need them to root for you. Another had her father explaining how much was left after the fees and splitting it with Carol. Another caught her mother on the fun. She won't talk. She's scared of her own shadow. The therapist said she's emotionally dissociative or something. We're safe. Caden went quiet for a few days. Then the message came. I've pitched it. They want the story. If you're ready, we can burn the house down. The first headline was a whisper. Viral GoFundMe star may not exist. Identity fraud and medical lees under investigation. The second. Where's Lily? Donors demand answers as fraud allegations surface. And the third made it real. Her face. Their lie. One girl's family faked a disabled daughter for $168,000. The article included blurred screenshots, a few audio clips, and one still image of Lily. With text overlaid, this is Mira Spencer. She's not disabled. She never was. The internet lost its mind. Donors flooded the page with angry comments. Reddit threads exploded. YouTubers dug into the digital archives. Conspiracy theorists grabbed hold. So did morning shows. People wanted blood. Her parents panicked. Who the hell is Ellie Rees? Did you talk to anyone? We need to delete everything. Now, they wiped drives, shredded papers, deleted the fundraiser. Too late. The trap was already closed. And then, Mira revealed herself. She walked into the living room during breakfast. Calm, silent. Her mother was mid-bite when she saw her. Sweetheart, what's wrong? Mira set a printed copy of the article down in front of her. Then another. Then a USB drive. Then a stack of photos with timestamps. And finally, the burner phone with Caden's number. I'm Ellie, she said softly. And I'm done being your ghost. Her mother turned pale. Her father swore and lunged for the phone, but Mira held up another one. I backed it all up. You can't stop this. It's already done. Why would you do this to us? Her mother whispered. Mira tilted her head, smiled. I learned from the best. 2 days later, reporters showed up on their front lawn. Mira refused interviews. She let the evidence speak louder than she ever could. Police launched an inquiry into charitable fraud and identity theft. Tax investigators followed the money. Donors demanded refunds. Medical charities condemned the entire operation. Her family tried to spin it, say she was mentally ill, manipulated by outsiders. But the voice recordings, the video clips, the paper trail, unshakable, they had gaslit her for years. Now the world gaslit them, with truth. In her final video, posted anonymously, Mira sat in front of a white wall. No tears, no background music. Just her, holding up a photo of herself as a child. This is me, she said. Not Lily. Just me. They used my face to lie. And when I found out, they told me I was crazy. They tried to erase me. She held up another photo. A screenshot of the GoFundMe at $168,000. They stole your money. Another. A picture of her mother's notes. They scripted my pain. And then a final one. A photo of herself smiling, free. Unmasked. But I'm not invisible anymore. A fade to black. The news cycle moved fast, but the echoes of Mira's story lingered longer than anyone expected. Her family was shattered. Her mother refused interviews but was subpoenaed by authorities. Her father disappeared from social media and eventually resigned from his job amid the scandal. Carol Spencer, her aunt, vanished from public view altogether. The charity, Steps of Grace, was dissolved amid legal investigations, the stolen funds frozen and earmarked for legitimate causes. But none of that brought Mira peace. For weeks, Mira stayed in a small, rented apartment paid for by an anonymous donor who had followed her story online. It was quiet. Almost too quiet after years of chaos and lies. Her phone still buzzed with messages. Some were angry, calling her a liar or attention seeker. Some were kind, people sharing their own stories of betrayal and recovery. Most were just silent prayers sent in pixels. One evening, Mira visited a quiet park. The wind carried the scent of fall. crisp, a little melancholy, but hopeful. She sat on a bench unburdened for the first time in years and pulled out a small notebook. In it were 2 columns. On one side ashes, on the other honey. Ashes, the years lost, the trust broken, the childhood stolen by falsehood. Honey, the truth uncovered, the strength found in solitude. The kindness of strangers who believed her. She wrote slowly, I am not broken. I am not invisible. I am the girl who remembered when they forgot. The girl who whispered to herself through the dark and found the dawn. Her healing wasn't linear. Some days she wept over old photos, mourning not just what was taken, but what she had been forced to forget. Other days she laughed uncontrollably, like a child rediscovering joy for the first time. She began therapy, not because she was delusional, but because she was human. Because healing was not a destination, but a path. Months later, Caden's investigative piece won an award for exposing medical fraud and charity scams. Mira declined interviews but sent a brief statement. I'm not a victim. I'm a witness. And this story is bigger than me. It's about the people who use lies to steal hope, and the ones brave enough to fight back. The donations were eventually returned to donors or redirected to actual children in need. Mira started volunteering with a group supporting families affected by medical deception. She became a quiet advocate, a shadow at first, then a voice for truth and recovery. One afternoon, Mira received a package with no return address. Inside was a photograph, a candid shot of her as a child, smiling freely on a summer day. No wigs, no cameras, no scripts, just her. She held it close and whispered to the wind, I am real. I am here. I am enough. The fire that burned her family had left ashes. But from those ashes, Mira was building something sweeter, something stronger, something real.